Welcome to another installment of my self-practice at home, completely unedited, completely uncut, real time. So today I got on my mat and have I looked at my watch yet? There I am. I'm looking at my watch and I'm like, okay, Adell, I think it was 8:35 and I was like, just go till 9 o'clock. That'll be 25 minutes. And that's often what I do when I'm not feeling super motivated. I really wanted to just be in my bed, right? And so I just give myself like an amount of time, and sometimes it's literally 10 minutes, like actually. And I highly recommend that if you ever struggle, like give yourself even 5 minutes. Just say, I'm not going to leave my mat until I've been here for at least 5 minutes. And then sometimes you get to that 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it is, and you're like, thank God I'm done. And you move on. And at least you showed up. But as you'll see, what happened today is I actually went, and the next time I look at my watch, it's like 9:05. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll do Shavasana now. But anyways, so why was I feeling like I wanted to go to bed? Because today my body is aching. I think it's a little bit of luteal phase, but also I perhaps just should have taken a rest day. And I didn't. Normally, Thursdays are my rest days. Thursdays are the days that I sit on my butt and I don't do anything. But it just so happened because I've got travel plans and just, blah, 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 life schedules, all that kind of stuff. I ended up filming 5 classes for Move with Adell on Thursday. And so then silly me just went back to training the next day, when I probably should have skipped that gym session. But I went into it like, oh, I just won't lift that heavy. I'll just take it easy. And then, of course, I didn't. Something I'm working on. Anyways, so I am at this point just trying to make my body feel a little bit better. It's like DOMS. It's muscle soreness. Like it's good kind of aches. But there is an underlying just... like, do you know when you feel like your cells just aren't talking to each other or something? Like your mitochondria disappeared or something like this. I don't know. It's like the energy inside of you is just not flowing. So yeah, I'm like doing a lot of rubbing myself, touching myself, squeezing myself. And this wheel pose actually happened because I was lying there and I was like, I think I feel like doing wheel pose. And then I pushed up there and I was like, yeah, I'm not hating this. And I think that just goes to show the power of just getting on your mat and starting to move. Because if you had asked me, 3 minutes earlier, if I was going to end up doing a wheel pose, I would have been like, hell no, shut up. Don't even suggest that to me. And just doing a little gentle stretching and rubbing, squeezing my skin, stretching my skin. These are like different types of sensory input that can kind of help stimulate the motor cortex by stimulating the sensory cortex. Yeah, there I was in a wheel. So yeah, there's another little piece of advice for you if you're ever feeling stuck. Just start with like touching yourself. Honestly, not like that, but just rub all the areas that don't feel great. Rub all the areas that do feel good, right? And just start moving. Motivation comes from action. So I'm already starting to kind of wake up. And as I come to this standing position, I'm trying to think, okay, like I know that I really enjoy my practice if I can kind of come up with a sequence that feels fun, feels nice to flow through. And I usually come up with something based on either like what I want to work towards, like a goal that I want to work towards, or just, maybe I want to work on compression. Maybe I want to work on my shoulders or something like this. Or maybe I'm feeling like particularly tight somewhere. Well, here I've decided I just want to feel like moving. That's what I want. I want to feel like it feels good to move. So I just start kind of bouncing and everything. And this did actually feel really nice. Another thing, if you've never done this before, please try it. Just kind of like bouncing and wiggling. But then I'm like, okay, yeah, lunge. That's nice. So at this point, I'm very much still trying to kind of like figure out what the hell to do with myself. And, waking my body up a little bit, just getting the blood flowing, getting my nervous system ready to, or kind of like on board with moving. And for me, handstands always feel good. And so this is one of my favorite things to do, is kind of like wake up my legs while I'm in a handstand. I love the feeling of gravity pulling my legs like into that split. And I think I added some ankle circles. Yeah. So just a really cool thing that I like. It goes along with me just doing things that make me feel happy to be there on the mat. And I love that I'm at the place now with my handstand practice that I can balance and put my focus on doing ankle circles, because the balance is like reflexive now. It's habit. So yeah, just still trying to like enjoy myself. But so whenever I landed from that handstand, it just kind of like jolted an idea. And I thought, yes, I'll just do like small little movements like in my pelvis, and here I'm doing my thoracic spine, then I move to my neck, because I know that these can have big impacts in the brain, the nervous system, that have an overall effect on the whole body. They're called like high payoff areas, but you don't actually have to like use your muscles a whole lot. So they're a little bit of a quick win when you want to move, but you don't want to move, if you know what I mean. So hip circles, thoracic circles, wrists and ankles. But yeah, ultimately at this stage, I'm still just kind of feeling like what feels good, what doesn't, where do I want to go from here? What is life? What is my purpose? Those thoughts that you have on the mat. So at this point, I'm like, yeah, handstands, like they're my playtime. That's me just like, instant time machine back to my childhood. I feel like a kid. It's just like pure dopamine. Like anybody who practices handstands and is like into it will get it. Like it's just freaking fun. And then I just decide, because I think I saw something on Instagram or something, to do this. And I'm actually looking at myself for the first time watching this back, because I wasn't sure if my legs and pelvis were going where I wanted them to go. But yeah, I don't think that looks too bad. So then I'm like, okay, cool. I just landed in half moon. I like this. I'm onto something. I think I've got a little bit of a sequence I can play with. But then I'm like, as I kind of go via a chaturanga, I'm like, no, I need something chilled. And my pecs were super tight, especially my left one. So I just came here and I thought, yes, this is where I want to be for a little while. And so it goes. And I'd be really interested to know if you're still listening at this point and you do a self-practice, is any of this kind of similar to how you practice? Like, do you just kind of show up, start moving, and see what happens? Or do you have a plan, or what? And not all of my self-practices look like this. Like sometimes it's like the whole thing will just be like what I was doing at the beginning, where I'm just kind of like moving and stretching, and there's no like flow, there's no sequence or anything like that. Sometimes my self-practice ends up just being a whole bunch of handstands or whatever. But I do really enjoy, like I can feel the dopamine rushing through my brain whenever I kind of come up with a little sequence of postures, and I like how they flow together, and I know that I can do them a few times. And when I've like threw my sweatshirt away, it made my wrist feel funny, so that's what I'm doing here. I was like, wait, what was that? Yeah. And so anyway, Anybody that does the self-practice or teaches yoga will relate to the whole, oh God, what did I do on the first side? Now I need to see if I can remember that. But it's all part of it. So this is frustrating. What I realized, it wasn't really frustrating. It was curious. I was like, wow, I've trained my fingers to stop my momentum, but they're doing it too much. Like my fingers were pushing me back too much. So then that third time I got it. I got the balance. And that's what it is, balance. And once again, I'm like, what did I do? Oh yeah, I remember I did pelvic circles here. And this side with my left leg forward and right leg back is like my tighter side. So I was like, wait, let me slow this down because I know there's some tight spots in there. But this right here, these like little movements, these are so good because even though they're not much to look at, for you to experience them is so powerful. And if you coach others, it can be so powerful because when you really slow down and try to notice like your full range of motion through an entire circle, let's say, or it might just be between flexion and extension or whatever. If you really slow down and notice every little micro movement along the way, you might start to see where you struggle, like where your brain just like won't communicate with your muscles to put yourself there. So let's say instead of a circle, like a quarter of your circle is just getting cut off and you're like jolting from one position to the next. And what makes this so cool is because then you've potentially seen where your body is going to be compensating in other movements. And so by training into those areas that feel really, really hard to do, like you're telling your wrist or your thoracic spine or your ankles or whatever it is to go into this position and they're just not doing it. And if you just work on it, then you're building your brain's maps of those particular movements where it didn't have that information before. And then it can show up as less compensation in other areas. And so your movements can become much more fluid and much more efficient. And this is something that I go much, much deeper into in my training. But anyways, so just cleaning off a piece of dust or something. So yeah, now I'm like, oh yeah, okay, handstand time. But I'm also aware, I'm thinking about my pelvis. I'm actually quite pleased to look at it now with you. It's pretty even. It's something that I've worked really hard on. My pelvis has been, really uneven. And I'm quite pleased to see how straight my legs are. Not from the knee, but like, normally in a straddle handstand, my left leg is like much lower to the floor than my right. But anyways, just playing with that flag sort of shape here. Again, don't know what I'm doing, but that's not too bad. Not too bad. And despite how fatigued I am still feeling at this point, it's just when you're playing, you don't notice, right? And this is play for me. I'm just enjoying like seeing what my body can do upside down. But I am tired, and now I'm like, yay, okay, I can rest. I can do these delicious pec stretches. This is the lesson that I'm trying to learn, or that I'm in it right now, this lesson of learning to appreciate the signals of my body, the signals of like fatigue and feeling drained as just data and just, communication from my body to rest. It's just so hard. If I didn't have to recover, I would, oh my gosh, I would just do nothing but different forms of physical activities. Like, because, for example, I love climbing, and I actually think I could be quite good at climbing because I am strong and I'm flexible, and I love it. I love being up high. I love climbing, but I make it to the climbing wall probably like 2 or 3 times a year because there's just so many other things. So, c'est la vie. That's life. We just gotta accept how things are, and that's what I'm working through right now, accepting that my body needs rest. And, oh yeah, while I was here, I just was like, I wonder if I can do that thing where I lift my legs up overhead. It's not something I've worked on a whole lot, but I want to say like a couple of years ago, I discovered that I could do it after many years of never being able to do it. So I'm like, let's see if it's still there. First go was a fail, but I was like, it's there. I can feel it. I can feel it. So I'm like, I think I readjust my hands to be a little bit further apart so I feel like I can get a little bit more strength in my arms to press my hips like away from the floor. And I'm also doing a few little brain drills here. Yeah, and then I get it. So I'm using like my eyes. I was using mostly my eyes to help stimulate some areas of the brain that help with extensor tone. Whether they helped or not, I don't know. But later on, you'll see where I do actually do some like brain drills, and I'm like, oh, yep, okay. That's a little bit more scientific, I suppose. But for now, I'm trying to land this handstand, and I'm just still working on like trying to get my fingers to push back against that momentum, like an adequate amount, but not too much. Yeah, and then after that chin stand, legs up in the air thing, I was like, give me some compression. So even though that was hard, and then you can see I'm like, whew, it felt good. But then I'm doing what a good yogi does, and I'm just standing at the top, and I'm like kind of assessing how my body feels now. And what I start to notice is when I just stand here after I stop adjusting all my clothing and scratching my face and everything, as I'm standing, and if I just let myself kind of just stand normally and not like putting myself into Tadasana, what I start to notice is that my left shoulder, which you can't see, but it's wanting to drift into internal rotation. And this is something that I've been dealing with for a while. And so I'm looking down at my hands and I'm going like, okay, yeah, it's not just what I'm feeling, like my left arm is actually drifting into this internal rotation. So I'm like, okay, let's just see how it changes if I do some vestibular work. So this is me kind of playing around with a couple of the canals, the semicircular canals of the vestibular system, and just noticing if maybe by tilting my head to the left, because this is something that's been traditionally difficult for me, is that leftwards? Is that a word? Yeah. I wanted to say leftways. Leftwards. Head tilt is kind of a bit dizzying for me, as well as looking to the left. And here I'm kind of mixing them together. So I'm looking to the left as well as tilting my head upwards. It was too hard to keep my eyes focused. So now I'm using my thumb as a focal point for my eyes. So these are called vestibular ocular reflex drills, where you keep your eyes fixed on a focal point and move your head. So I can feel that that's stimulated me. Like I can feel that has, kind of pushed me outside my comfort zone, but it did nothing to change that kind of internal rotation. So now I'm working on my radial nerve. I'm tensioning my radial nerve because the radial nerve it innervates some of the muscles that help with external shoulder rotation. So I'm doing that. And it feels nice and everything. But again, after I finish, I can once again feel like, nope, that left shoulder is still just wanting to drift inwards. So finally, I'm like, I knew it. It's cerebellum. And I knew it was cerebellum because I've been working on this for a while, but I guess I was just hoping it was something else. I don't know. Anyway, so now I'm like, okay, thinking of like, how are some ways I can stimulate my cerebellum? This is actually a test for the cerebellum, but you test it because you're also stimulating it. You stimulate it because you're testing it. And I'm looking to the right some, and the stance was also to externally rotate through the hip. So I'm like stacking a few different drills to stimulate my left cerebellum. And sure enough, that did it. My left shoulder was just hanging without me trying to externally rotate it. It was hanging kind of evenly with my right. So now I'm like, okay, I got to get back to my left side cerebellum drills because I was doing them for a while, but I kind of neglected them. So yeah, that's one of the things that I like to play around with in my time on the mat. But you'll see that I later take some of those things into the little sequence that I've created. And this is what I love, is like my yoga practice gets to be this time for me, this time just to, not be staring at my phone or whatever, but it's a time to practice what you're not good at, right? Even just taking those moments to rest, like that's me practicing what I'm not good at. That's me giving myself the time to just be in stillness, even though I probably don't do enough of it in this practice. At least I'm practicing it a little bit, right? I'm training that rest muscle a little bit. And the same goes when you can understand like what's happening in places like your cerebellum or your brainstem. Like you can also train those things that are hard, right? And it gives you this chance to embody, to feel it for yourself, firsthand experience, the little lessons that make us show up in life as better people, right? And that's what's so magical about a yoga practice, is you get to feel it, you get to practice it, and it's okay if here on your mat you mess up. It's okay if here on your mat you don't do it perfectly, because we're just training, we're just practicing for real life, like staying calm in challenging situations and listening to your body through something that is, stresses your body out. So anyways, I'm going back to these hip circles, which also stimulate the cerebellum because they are a coordinated movement. But what you can't see is my left hand is doing another little cerebellum drill of tapping my fingertips to my thumbs. So just trying to like really work on that left cerebellum waking up. And here I'm trying to do thoracic circles while I do another cerebellum test. But again, by testing the cerebellum, you're activating the cerebellum, where you bring a fingertip to the tip of your nose without missing. That was really challenging. It would be challenging for anybody, but I was like, I'm probably messing something up here. So I just switched instead to just flexion and extension of the thoracic spine instead of circles. And then I was able to do this a little bit better, but still with some difficulty. So it's important, like with anything, you want to move outside your comfort zone, do something that's like challenging, but not go so far that you do it really poorly and make bad habits or potentially hurt yourself or stress yourself beyond, a good level of stress. So anyways, I was looking for the right dosage of that cerebellum activation, and I think it was helping, but at this point I was kind of feeling the stress of it on my nervous system, because I could not get up to a handstand on the first try. But yeah, is this interesting to you, learning about like all the weird brain drills that I do? I hope so. I teach it as an entire 80-hour training. It's so fascinating to me. Like to be able to see the way somebody moves or doesn't move, or the sensations that they have or don't have, and understand like what areas of their brain you can kind of like poke at and then erase somebody's pain or help them balance better. And it happens in seconds. Like, that's what's so cool about working on the nervous system, is it works within seconds. Like, somebody can increase their range of motion or have, be able to pick up a heavier weight or whatever, like instantly, just because you reduce threat in their brain or whatever it is. Anyways, so what am I doing? Oh, yeah. Like, I think doing those flags kind of like made my nervous system forget how to just do a pure side bend. So I had to like sit down and do it, because what I look for when I do that side flexion in a handstand is it's kind of unpleasant, like where I'm trying to crunch my side body so much that my rib cage like folds onto into the inside of my pelvis. And I just couldn't get it upside down, because you know how it is. Like, you go upside down and your brain stops working normally. So yeah, then I got it and I'm like, okay, cool. Thank you, brain, for remembering how to do that movement. And oh yeah, then I was brave. I thought, oh, I'll try the flag again. But then once I landed in my half moon, I was like, that's good. I think at this point, yeah, then I added in standing up from there. That just feels so good on my hip, to be able to transition all of your weight into your leg in that half moon shape and then stand up from there. Like, oh, building the strength in the hip joint there feels amazing. So back to my pec stretch. Here I'm adding another brain drill, so you'll see that top knee will start to drift downwards as I move it into internal rotation, I think. I did that before. Now I'm doing an extra little stretch, but I'm still playing with, bringing the knee down and the ankle up so hip goes into internal rotation. I'm just trying to see if that might help open up the opposite pec a little bit. It's just, it goes back to something called interlimb neural coupling, and how our gait cycle creates these reflexes in the spinal cord that can elicit one movement from moving a different body part. But basically, I'm just enjoying this stretch, which is my favorite stretch today because my pecs needed it, especially my left one. Arms go wide. Yeah, that felt good to add muscle activation to the pecs in that range of motion. That's why I did that, like a arms wide, elbows wide kind of chaturanga push-up. And then on to the second side. I'm starting to feel a little bit more balanced in my body. So this is something I enjoy playing around with, is like moving quickly between leg shapes to hold my balance. Just helps generally train the handstand balance and leaning over to one side. I'm really crap at the one-armed handstand stuff, but in a week's time, from the time of like actually recording this, I'll be in Mongolia as a student on somebody else's handstand retreat. So really looking forward to seeing what I learn there. But yeah, so again, you can't see my left hand, but even though I've switched legs, I still want to work on my left cerebellum. This is the cool thing about the brain, right? Like, you can still do like left side, right side in your yoga flow, but if you know that you need to target like specifically your left cerebellum or your right, whatever, brainstem or whatever it is, you can still do that. So yeah, this time I thought I'll try little like lateral glides, so like kind of side to side movements of the rib cage, while I add in the little accuracy test of that left hand. So again, whole entire cerebellum, of course, is like firing up here, but particularly the left one. And then I just go like full speed without adding the thoracic movements at the end. But yeah, feeling my arms, quite pleased. Seems like my left shoulder is like back into like where it needs to be and not drifting into internal rotation. So yeah. Yeah, it's been really cool learning all this neurology stuff and being able to apply it in my yoga practice. And this is what I'm big on. Like, I know that if I just get on my mat and I start moving, and like I said, I maybe come up with a sequence or something like this, like that's something that I find enjoyable. And I know that that's, not everybody is going to be like that. But if there's something that you find enjoyable, that you know that you can do, like it may still require some discipline to get yourself to start, but once you get started, you know that you're going to enjoy it. Then bring your drills into that. Like if it's cooking or baking, if you love to bake a cake every Sunday or whatever, like you can stand on one leg and circle your wrist or, stir your batter with your weak arm or whatever. Like there's so many ways that you can bring like whatever drills, if it's brain drills or anything else, like into what you're already doing. And so this is what I'm really big on, because like, you get injured, you go to a physio gives you exercises to do, and then you don't do them because you think that you need to set time aside to do those exercises separately to all the other things that you've got going on. No, bring them into what you're already doing. And so I feel so lucky that I have this little piece of rubber, this rectangular piece of rubber that becomes this playground for me, where I get to learn about my body and play with the things that my body can do and cannot yet do. And within that space, bring in little exercises, little drills, little lessons that I need to learn, right? And so much of it is stuff that's going on mentally, right? Like maybe there's a little conversation with myself, like, what I talked about earlier, where I really don't want to do 15 minutes, but I've told myself I'm going to do 15 minutes. And there's that little conversation of like, no, I'm not going to get off this mat until my buzzer goes off or whatever. All of these things, it's just practice, and it's there for us. And we're very privileged, those of us who get to do this. That's not lost on me. That it's not something that everybody has the privilege to do, to go, okay, cool. I'm going to go spend 25, 30, 35 minutes playing on my mat and discovering what my body has to tell me. But I think that those of us who do have that privilege should also treat it as a responsibility to use what we get to learn about ourselves internally and externally out in life. For me, that might be like just staying mindful of people in my surroundings who look like they're having a tough time, and whether it's just complimenting their hair or actually like helping them like pick up something heavy or whatever it is, like just pass kindness along, because I'm in a capacity to be able to express, I guess, that more curious and open-minded mindset that breeds more kindness and compassion. And those things are contagious. So, yeah. If you've had the privilege of being able to sit here and watch all of this, maybe ask yourself, how can I use my privilege to make somebody else's day better? Thanks for watching.